Well, welcome back, Gov fans. A couple weeks to go. This week we're going to take on the idea of what's best to use: a debit card, a credit card, or cash. How do you spend your money? And this is a pretty big deal for you guys. This is going to be especially huge for you guys going away to college. So I thought this was the most appropriate thing to be working on this week. But even if you're not going away to college, this is the next step in banking. This will help your credit as you build credit. So this is a good thing to be learning. So pay attention this week. It might be in two parts, depending on how long-winded I get. I haven't been teaching that much, so hang in there. So why is this important for you guys? Well, knowing your just looking at some of the statistics, I'm not a big believer in statistics, but this isn't really trying to make one side or an argument. Most of you at this point do have debit cards. You do have jobs, obviously. Most of you have direct deposit. By the way, that's a good thing to have, is direct deposit, making sure your money goes directly into your bank. That's a good way to stop identity theft and somebody stealing your paycheck. And now 1 in 3 of you have credit cards. Now, in our poll I think we took earlier this year, it didn't seem like as many of you had credit cards, but especially for those going away, credit cards are a very useful thing. Obviously, if almost half of the college freshmen, which most of you will be next year, will have a credit card, and then 92% of sophomores. So you see the importance of it. And obviously it has a great benefit, but as you notice, a lot it can cause problems. I did have a roommate in college that his freshman year he had almost $1,200 in just frivolous spending from a credit card. So that's the danger of the credit card, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. But also, and many of you have said this, most of you have never been taught any of this stuff, so that's why, again, we're trying to emphasize this, or I'm trying to emphasize this, so that you're a little bit wiser with your money. But the bottom line is that more students are using credit cards, but many students don't feel that they've learned enough about them to use them wisely. So that's why we're going to take a lot of time to talk about this today. So let's start with the debit card. Obviously, most of you have a debit card, know what a debit card is, and what the difference in the debit card versus a credit card. A debit card is actually one that comes directly out of your bank account. So that money's there, it's yours, you already have it. You're just taking it out of your bank, probably from your paycheck, and using it directly. Debit cards, eliminate the need to carry cash, and they can also be protected if they're stolen. You can call your bank right away and save your cash, whereas if you get robbed by cash, obviously your cash is gone. So in that regards, it's better. The danger of it is taking out more than you have in your bank, which of course then your bank's going to probably charge you $30 of money you obviously don't have, because you already took money out that you didn't have. So that's always a problem, especially the first time you have that debit card. You don't keep track of your balance, and since it's not in your monthly budget, it ends up messing you up. So you have to be very meticulous, keep good account of what money you have in there so that you don't get it. You can always sign up for overdraft protection, which is like $5. The money will then come out of your savings. You have to have usually a savings when you open a checking account in the bank. So they'll take it out of there and it won't charge you. That's a way to protect yourself. That's always a good way. It does happen. Even to adults, it happens. Every once in a while, you'll just mess a number up or something and you have more in there than you thought. So it's always a bonus to have. Debit cards also have a purchase limit, so if somebody steals your debit card, they can't keep charging things. So that's a way to protect your money as well. And they also call you to ask if you're in Boca Raton, Florida. For some reason, they always go to Walmart in Boca Raton, Florida, and they're buying $300 and stuff. My daughter was doing loss prevention the other day. Somebody was buying a pack of gum and taking out $200 in addition, or $100 in addition, and it was an immediate red flag that somebody was using a stolen credit card. The police were called, and the person was apprehended. So the good thing with the debit card, it does protect you as far as your spending. It does protect you as if it's taken. Obviously, if the cash is gone, the cash is gone. You're not getting that back. So what is the benefit versus the risk reward versus credit card versus cash? The blue indicates that that's a good thing. The red indicates that's a bad thing. So both are immediate cash on hand. Obviously, if you just pay the person or you swipe your card or insert your card or whatever, that's immediate cash on hand. Both are convenient. Protection from being stolen. Yes, the debit card offers those protections. Now, sometimes if you don't report it missing or anything, that money's gone. Obviously, with cash, money's gone, the money's gone. You have no chance of that. Can overspend. Obviously, yes, you can overspend. That's going to charge you more, obviously, in an overdraft versus cash. You got on you what you got on you, so it does keep you on your monthly budget, which is a good thing. Transaction fees. Yes, for a debit card, unless you're going to Wawa, which, hey, thank goodness for Wawa, you get that free fee. But if you're going to some place like Dorney Park or Great Adventure or something like that, there's not a Wawa around. You go to their ATM, they can charge you up to $5. So 5 of your hard-earned dollars are going to just taking money out. Whereas cash, again, what you have on you is have on you. Overage fees. Again, kind of like the overspending, they will charge you extra. So not only are you breaking your budget, but then they're charging you more for it. And again, obviously cash, no. Both are transportable, so that's good. You can use them practically anywhere. Now, if you're going overseas, that's a different story. But here in the U.S., you're using the same thing. And then the big difference, can you use it on your phone or over the computer to buy online purchases at Amazon or wherever else you're buying from? Obviously, you can use a debit card, but cash you obviously can't. So there's obviously benefits to both. There's downsides to both. So how about your credit card? This is the big one that most of you are going to be venturing out in the first time. And obviously, there's a lot of credit cards out there. MasterCard and Visa are acceptable almost anywhere, and they usually come from a bank or a company. They're backed by that. Discover, obviously there's benefits to Discover. They give cash back. That's accepted more and more places now. American Express is a little bit higher end, and they do give rewards as well, but at this point most of you aren't at the American Express level yet. That's usually, as we'll see a little bit further down the line, they usually give more benefits, but your credit has to be really, really good for the American Express, and most of you aren't ready to be in that boat yet. So the credit card is different from the debit card and the cash because it's not your money. You're actually using somebody else's money, so you're borrowing. And in this case, you're borrowing from either a bank or a business or something like that. So they're going to want their money back. And there's a grace period, 30 days. So you basically have a month. It's not a rolling month. It's not like when I buy it 30 days later it's due. So if you buy it May 3rd, it's going to, and your bill's due May 31st, you're not going to have that whole month. But it's due. Unfortunately, if you go past that grace period and you go into the next month, now they're going to start charging you interest. And interest can be very expensive. It can be, for most of you, and first time, it's even going to be higher interest. It could be anywhere from 15 to 25%. So if you bought something for $10, 1 month later, you're spending $12.50 on it. And then it's going to add on to that, and it can quickly accumulate. So the importance of credit cards are responsibility. If you're not a responsible spender, this is maybe not the route to go yet. Or, again, for those of you going away, talk to mom and dad. They set credit limits to them to where it's only $250. Like I said, my roommate, he couldn't even tell you where his money went. His credit card bill was somewhere around $1,200 that he had spent in 5 months, and most of it was on food and stuff like that, and it was just wasted money. So you got to be very careful with what you're spending on, and that's the danger of the credit card. And again, we'll talk about that in a minute. So what are the positives? And there are positives about a credit card. Typically, it's safer than, again, carrying cash. It's actually even safer than carrying a debit card because in this case, the credit card company takes full responsibility. So as we'll see at the very end, it's actually, if somebody steals your card number or something like that, you would just immediately call the credit card company. They stop that, and then they go back and they check the charges. And if they don't make sense, then they will not charge you for it. So that it's the most protected of any of these three. Credit card companies usually take the front in trying to stop identity theft, even more than the police. Again, it can help you establish credit. This is a good way to start your credit. I strongly suggest this. Talk to mom and dad. You're in your first year of college. Go out each month, spend $25, or buy books with it, or something on campus. $25. Pay that off every month before that interest fee checks in, and you're going to start building your credit score very quickly and very easily. Just simple payments to do. If you have a job over the summer, put that money away, spend a little bit each month, paying off that credit card. Ta-da! I built up my credit and haven't really even had to work very hard for it, but it's a great way to start your credit off. If you have an emergency, you don't have cash on you, you forgot your debit card, whatever it is, you're out and about, you blow a tire, something like that, that credit card, having that is safe cash. But again, make sure you pay it off quickly. But it's always good to have. You need a tow. They want a credit card. That's something to have. It's great for an emergency. Again, and if you don't have cash right away, same kind of thing. Some cards will have rewards and different bonuses. Don't expect that with your first credit card. Usually that's not until you start getting your credit score, remember from last week, up to the 700s and 800s. Until then, you're probably not going to get much of a reward or much cash back. But if you do, put it back towards your bill if you need to. That's always a good way to do that, or maybe save up for something nice. I don't know. And then if you really have a big, large purchase that you just can't afford right away. Again, books are a big one that I always, books today can be $300 a semester. This is a great way to pay that off if you really don't have the money. Don't try to do what I did when I was in college, which was go to the local bookstore and try to buy some cheap stuff that really didn't match up with what the professor wanted. That was a bad thing. I had to work real hard for that class. So buy the books that they want. Yes, you're going to pay a little bit more. Look for the used books. Look on Amazon. There are cheaper ways to get books other than buying new at the bookstore. That's probably the most expensive route. But look to buy some cheaper ones. That's a great way to do it. They do make those key cards, though, so be very careful of that. The colleges are trying to find ways around people buying cheaper books. Now for the negatives. There are some downsides. Yeah, you could look like that guy right there after seeing a credit card bill going, what in the heck did I do? So this is why you got to be very careful. If you're not very good at budgeting, don't go for the credit card route. If you're a very reckless spender, don't go the credit card route. Or again, get a limit on yours of just a couple $100 so you're not in a great amount of debt. Because if you're not monitoring, it can quickly go downhill. If you are somebody that just goes out, oh, I really like that shirt, let me credit card. Oh, I really like that, let me credit card. Oh, I need something to eat, let me put it on the credit card. All of a sudden, you're like my old roommate, $1,200 after one semester, and you have no idea where it went. And that could be a real danger. And when his mom found out, he was in real danger. Again, impulse buying is you just see it, and all of a sudden oh, I can get that, boom. So this stops that. If you have cash, people tend, the psychological part of paying cash, we tend to hold on to our cash because we know we've earned it, as opposed to that credit card that just, oh, that's just plastic, it'll pay for it. Again, fees and high interest make paying a big balance can be quite difficult, and it also could very well hurt your credit score if you have those big fees and high interest. By the way, don't get one credit card to pay off another credit card. That doesn't work either. The credit score will notice that as well. And then you could really just blow out your budget. You have so much set aside. I'm going to spend $50 on my credit card this month, and all of a sudden now the minimum payment's $95. And we'll talk about we'll talk about that as well, the minimum payment. And it does leave you open then to all kinds of fun letters from susceptible predatory lenders who now want to lend you that money to play off that credit card, and they're going to charge you higher interest, and they're really going to rip you off. So it really is a danger. So Please be very careful when you're doing these. I really recommend at your age doing the credit limit. Talk to mom and dad about it. Maybe they'll help you out. So, and the rest, we'll continue to talk about credit and getting your credit card and some of the myths for credit card. See you in a bit.